Welcome back to the deep dive. For years now, the conversation around quantum computing has been, well, it's been pretty confined, hasn't it?
Oh, absolutely. It's been for the physicists, the VCs, the really, highly specialized engineer.
Exactly. We've talked about qubits, about optimization algorithms, the race for fault tolerance, all very technical.
Right.
But today, we want to deliberately move beyond that. We want to grapple with the question that I think really defines where we are now. What does the dawn of practical, usable quantum computing mean for us as a global society?
And that is such a critical shift in focus. We've synthesized a whole collection of sources for this, policy papers, ethical reviews, security analyses, and our mission today is to break down the profound impact this is going to have.
On everything.
On everything. On our governments, our right to privacy, our economic stability, even our personal health. The sources are really clear on this. We are way past the point of treating this as some distant curiosity.
Exactly. And this deep dive, for you, the listener, is your shortcut. It's a way to get to the heart of the ethical stakes. We're stepping out of the physics lab.
And straight into the real world.
Straight into the halls of government, the global financial markets, the future of healthcare. We're here to help you navigate how this revolutionary power is set to just fundamentally reshape everything.
Everything from personalized medicine to, the very concepts of fairness and trust.
It's huge.
And we are speaking to you, the informed learner. You don't need a PhD in theoretical physics to get this. You don't.
Not at all.
What we're discussing is, well, it's about who controls the ability to perfectly simulate nature. Who gets to hold the master key to all of our data? And maybe most importantly, how do we make sure this immense power serves humanity and not just the powerful few?
So let's start there. Let's ground this conversation in a bit of history. Because when we talk about quantum, it feels so unique, so unprecedented. But we've seen this pattern before, haven't we?
It's the constant rhythm of innovation, really. And it provides our first, most crucial ethical lesson. Every single time humanity develops a truly transformative technology,
a fundamental shift in our capabilities,
society scrambles to write the rulebook after the fact. Always. Think about the revolutions we've already lived through.
Like electricity.
Exactly, electricity. It created whole new industries, but it also brought new dangers, new kinds of monopolistic power, or the internet.
The internet is a perfect example. It connected billions of us, but it also completely fractured our social norms, and we're still dealing with the fallout from that.
And now, of course, artificial intelligence.
AI is forcing a massive societal recalibration right now as we speak. It didn't just automate a few tasks. It's challenging our very concepts of fairness. We're seeing algorithms with embedded bias against protected groups.
Right.
And it's forcing us to confront job displacement on a scale we'd only ever really theorized about before.
Precisely. So if the internet made us rewrite the rules of communication and AI is forcing us to rewrite the rules of labor and fairness, then quantum computing is the next, and I would argue, much, much larger ethical challenge.
Because it changes the foundational rules of everything at once.
All at once. Security, material science, optimization. It hits all of them.
The potential power here is what makes this conversation so urgent. I mean, we're talking about a tool that can, we'll get into, just obliterate modern encryption.
But on the flip side,
it can simulate complex molecules for drug discovery with fidelity we've never seen before. It can optimize massive, chaotic global supply chains in an instant. The scale of the power is just immense. It's almost terrifying.
And that capability, it demands a core definition of quantum ethics that goes way beyond feasibility. It can't just be a question of what these tools can achieve.
The pure innovation side of it.
Right. It has to be about what they should do. And that forces us to look at the responsibility that comes with this power. We have to ask these questions now. Who holds the ultimate control? How do we allocate these finite quantum resources to solve problems in a world with so much need?
And the big one, how do we make sure this benefits everyone, not just the tiny fraction of people who funded its development?
That is the core question.
That balancing act between, aggressive, rapid innovation and disciplined, ethical responsibility. It's so hard to get right.
And the sources all point back to this historical trend where we fail at that balance.
This is what you'd call the lagging ethics problem, right?
That's it, exactly. History just shows that our ethical and policy frameworks almost always lag, sometimes painfully, behind these huge technological leaps. We see the potential, we rush toward deployment, toward profit.
And then years or even decades later, we're left trying to clean up the societal mess.
The social media example is just. It's a perfect, immediate lesson for us. It was pitched as this incredible engine of connection.
And in some ways it was.
In some ways, sure, but look where we are now. We are still, today, actively wrestling with the fallout. The weaponization of misinformation, the massive, relentless privacy breaches.
And the mental health impacts. The documented, pervasive mental health impacts that are linked directly to the design of these platforms.
And the lesson from social media and from AI with its algorithmic bias and black box decisions is that scale matters. It matters immensely.
So the power of quantum, its ability to solve problems we used to think were mathematically impossible. That means the consequences, the ethical fallout, could be exponentially greater.
Exponentially. If AI bias is a problem now, and it is, imagine that bias being amplified by a perfect, quantum-driven optimization of economic policy or military policy.
It's a chilling thought.
We just can't afford for ethics to lag this time. The potential risks to global stability, to basic human rights are just too high.
So the key takeaway from looking in history isn't just we need a framework, it's that we have to build that ethical framework proactively. We have to structurally embed responsibility right into the development process, into the research grants, into the corporate roadmaps, instead of waiting for a global catastrophe to force our hand.
It requires a total paradigm shift in how we think about regulation. Some policy experts call it agile regulation, a system that can actually evolve at the speed of the technology itself.
Which is a massive challenge for governments built for slow, deliberate review.
A massive challenge.
Okay, so let's pivot from that general stage setting to the most immediate high-stakes threat. The one that is centered entirely on security and privacy.
This is the one. This is the existential threat that keeps cryptographers and national security advisors up at night.
Especially in defense and finance, I imagine.
Absolutely. We're talking about the hard reality of Shor's algorithm. When you run that on a fully operational, fault-tolerant quantum computer, what they call a cryptographically relevant quantum computer, or a CRQC, it could break today's public key encryption.
And when we say public key encryption, we're not talking about something obscure.
No, we're talking about the mathematical foundations of the modern world. RSA, ECC. These are the algorithms that secure everything. Global bank transfers, diplomatic cables, military assets, and most importantly, your privacy.
So the implication here, and the sources really lay this out, is just staggering. If a major state actor, or even a very powerful corporation, gets a CRQC online,
they could potentially decrypt vast archives of previously captured, encrypted data from all over the world.
And this is where the ethical hazard really escalates, because it's not just about stopping future attacks.
No, the threat is current, it's immediate. It's a strategy that's often called harvest now, decrypt later, HNDL.
So even if a truly powerful quantum computer is 5, maybe 10 years away,
it doesn't matter. Intelligence agencies, sophisticated criminal groups, they are already capturing and storing massive amounts of encrypted data today, right now.
they're just hoarding it.
They're hoarding it, knowing that once they get that quantum master key, they can retroactively unlock that whole historical archive.
So private conversations you had last year, intellectual property that was exchanged today, your medical records, all of it is a potential target for future decryption.
Every bit of it.
That retroactivity, it forces this incredibly complex ethical dilemma about control. You have national security interests on one side. A state wants to maintain its intelligence edge, protect its own secrets.
Of course.
But on the other side, you have the absolute necessity of protecting individual privacy on a global scale, especially against that kind of centralized surveillance.
And that's the core conflict. One nation's national security tool is another nation's universal surveillance platform. It's that simple. And the danger just gets amplified when you look at the geopolitical landscape.
What if an authoritarian regime gets this first? A regime built on total surveillance and crushing dissent.
It would be catastrophic. The imbalance of power would be instantaneous and irreversible.
It's the analogy from the source material that really stuck with me. That quantum decryption capability is like giving someone the master key.
The master key to every single locked door on the planet.
And not just today's doors. Doors that were locked 5 years ago. It perfectly captures the absolute nature of that power.
And the ethical debate hinges entirely on that. Should anyone, any single entity, any government, any corporation, hold that key?
Because the moment someone does, public trust in encryption just dusted. It evaporates.
It completely dissolves. If everything is accessible, regardless of when it was encrypted, the very concept of a secure private conversation is gone. It's a fundamental threat to digital self-determination.
We often talk about encryption in these high-level terms, state secrets, financial data. But let's bring it down to the human rights dimension.
Yes, this is so critical. Encryption is a life-saving tool for protecting human rights all over the world.
Think about the most vulnerable people operating today.
Investigative journalists protecting their sources in conflict zones, political activists organizing against violent, oppressive regimes, human rights workers who are documenting atrocities.
Or just everyday citizens living under extreme surveillance.
All of them rely on strong encryption. It guarantees their safety, their anonymity, their ability to organize without being targeted.
So by shattering those cryptographic safeguards, quantum computing puts those fundamental human rights protections at severe risk.
It elevates the discussion far beyond just corporate espionage or bank fraud. This becomes a global matter of life and liberty. And the ethical burden falls squarely on the developers of the technology to deploy safeguards at the same time as the capability.
Which leads to the massive proactive challenge, transitioning to post-quantum cryptography, PQC.
Right. Society has to figure out how to research, standardize, and then deploy these new quantum-safe systems everywhere, and we have to do it before the threat fully materializes.
And this is not a simple software update. For you listening, we know this is a massive, costly, and incredibly complex infrastructural lift.
We're talking about migrating billions of devices, legacy systems in hospitals, embedded hardware in critical infrastructure, cars, satellites.
All that has to be moved to entirely new cryptographic standards, like the ones NIST is trying to finalize right now.
And the ethical cost of that migration is huge. What do you migrate first? Who pays to migrate the millions of cheap IoT devices that are running on decade-old unpatchable software?
Do we risk a period where we're relying on these brand new, highly complex PQC algorithms that might have their own currently unknown vulnerabilities?
Exactly, just to avoid the quantum threat. These are the real-world operational ethics we're facing today. And it's all compounded by that harvest now, decrypt later strategy, which basically guarantees that the moment a CRQC exists, the race is instantly lost for all that previously harvested data.
So the security paradox is this. The only way to protect privacy and human rights in the quantum age is through this massive, expensive, coordinated technological deployment.
A task which, right now, seems to be moving way too slowly to beat the projected timeline of the technology itself.
And that massive cost, that financial and logistical burden, that leads us directly into the second major ethical challenge, economics and access.
Exactly. When security is this expensive, when the infrastructure is this complex, it just invariably creates an economic chasm.
Let's talk brass tacks, the hardware itself. Quantum computers need unbelievably specialized infrastructure.
Cryogenic cooling systems, meticulously controlled environments, free from any vibration or magnetic interference.
Highly skilled PhDs to run them, and just continuous massive investment in R&D. The reality is, quantum power is going to be prohibitively expensive for a long time.
Which means control will be concentrated, extremely concentrated. We're looking at a future where this power is held by just a handful of entities.
Maybe 3 or 4 major world governments.
Or a select few multinational tech and financial corporations, the only ones who can afford the billions in R&D.
And that concentration immediately brings up the specter of a dangerous new kind of divide. A quantum divide.
One that's far more profound than any digital divide we've seen before. We risk systemically creating the quantum rich versus the quantum poor.
Our sources are really emphatic on this point, aren't they? That this scenario doesn't just create new inequality, it reinforces existing global inequalities.
It transforms them into structural, almost insurmountable gaps. If access to the most powerful tools for optimization and discovery is limited to a privileged few, the rate of progress for the rest of the world it stalls.
The source material had that great comparison. It's like the digital divide we saw with the internet, but on steroids.
Yes. And we need to unpack what on steroids really means here. It's not just a gap in access, like some countries having faster internet.
It's about an acceleration of advantage.
An acceleration so extreme that it creates permanent competitive separation. The digital divide meant some companies had better websites. The quantum divide means quantum-rich countries can optimize their logistics to a degree that their competitors become instantly obsolete.
Let's use some concrete examples. What does this look like in financial markets?
Well, quantum algorithms could execute instantaneous, near-perfect risk analysis and algorithmic trading strategies. This would give firms with quantum access advantages that would just exponentially widen the wealth gap between them and everyone else.
So it's not just faster trading.
It's not about speed. It's about modeling the entire market system to achieve a perfect, unbeatable advantage. Or think about material science and pharma.
The quantum rich could simulate and discover new patents for everything from next-generation batteries to life-saving drugs.
Creating monopolistic control over the future of energy and health. This structural advantage would permeate everything: supply chains, logistics, resource allocation. Nations without this power are just left perpetually struggling, their economies running at a fraction of the efficiency of the quantum rich.
So let's trace out the geopolitical consequence of that. You're talking about a future where some countries can secure their entire digital infrastructure with the flick of a switch,
while also optimizing their national economies with near-perfect efficiency and developing cures for major diseases at a rapid pace.
Meanwhile, other countries, the quantum poor, their data remains perpetually vulnerable to being decrypted.
Their economies suffer from huge optimization deficits. Their populations wait for life-saving treatments that are only affordable in the quantum-rich nations.
It creates an irrevocable structural disadvantage. It would affect everything from trade negotiations to foreign aid. If you can perfectly model the impacts of climate change, but only for your own country's benefit, what does that do to global cooperation?
Oh, it destroys it.
Which brings us to the core policy question, the ethical challenge of democratization. How do we govern access to this?
Right. Should quantum computing be treated as a purely private commercial asset, where control stays with private companies focused on maximizing profit and shareholder return?
That's the innovation argument, right? The private competition is the fastest way to get the technology to maturity.
It is, but the ethical risk is massive. If profit is the only thing dictating access, then innovation might only be aimed at solving the problems of the wealthy.
Like optimizing complex financial portfolios instead of developing affordable agricultural solutions for the developing world.
Exactly. The counterargument, and what many see as the ethical mandate, is to view quantum computing as essential global public infrastructure.
Like we treat power grids.
Or water supplies, or the fundamental scientific data that's shared through big international collaborations like CERN. We treat those as public goods, even when private companies are involved in building them.
And that analogy is vital. The sources suggest that if this technology is truly going to serve humanity, then the foundational resources, the computing time, the core algorithms, the standardized protocols, they need to be managed under some kind of global oversight.
Or at least a subsidized access model. The ethical mandate is clear. We have to prevent this unprecedented power from becoming just another tool to entrench the economic disparities that already exist.
Okay, let's shift our focus now from the economic to the deeply personal. Let's talk about medicine and human impact.
And this is where the conversation gets. Well, it gets even more complicated because the revolutionary potential in healthcare is arguably the most compelling aspect of this whole technology.
It promises a complete paradigm shift. A quantum computer's ability to model complex molecular interactions is it's unparalleled. It blows classical supercomputers out of the water.
So you could take chemical simulations for drug trials that currently take years and reduce them to minutes.
That opens the door to truly rapid drug discovery, to highly personalized treatments based on your specific genetic makeup, potentially even to detailed, functional simulations of the human brain to unlock the mysteries of diseases like Alzheimer's.
But this immense positive power comes with an immediate ethical twist embedded right in the idea of progress. And that's the challenge of priority setting.
Right. Once we have this hyper-efficient discovery tool, the question isn't if we can find cures.
It's who decides which cures we go after first.
That is the critical resource allocation dilemma. If a quantum machine is so expensive and specialized that a major research institute can only run a handful of complex drug simulations a year, where do you point that beam of innovation?
Do you dedicate the resources to tackling widespread global conditions, things that affect billions, like malaria, cardiovascular disease, future viral threats?
Or is there a stronger ethical duty to prioritize research into ultra-rare conditions, these orphan diseases, that affect fewer people but have absolutely no treatment options right now?
It's a complex societal calculus. You have to weigh equity, market demand, and our moral duty to the most marginalized patients. It's incredibly difficult.
And this taps right into that foundational ethical question that has plagued medicine for a century. Will quantum medical innovation be driven by profit?
Where the biggest market gets the most research funding?
Or will it be guided by the moral goal of improving humanity's health across the board, regardless of the market size?
And we have to connect this back to the economic chasm we just talked about. Let's say a quantum-rich private firm does discover a cure for a globally prevalent disease.
Society has to have mechanisms in place. Compulsory licensing, international cooperation, something to ensure those treatments are globally affordable and distributed widely.
Because if a quantum-discovered, personalized gene therapy for cancer costs millions of dollars per person, then the innovation itself, as scientifically profound as it is, has failed its ethical mandate to humanity.
Let's move to the intersection of that processing power and our personal data. This brings us to the urgent frontier of genetic privacy.
This is a huge one. Quantum computing will drastically accelerate genomics research. The sources highlight that the speed at which it can process, correlate, and potentially re-identify individuals within these vast genetic datasets is it's unprecedented.
This is a major ethical flashpoint. Right now, we rely on established methods of anonymization to protect genetic data that's shared for research.
But quantum computing, with its ability to perform massively complex analysis across many variables, it challenges the very effectiveness of those techniques. A quantum machine might be able to correlate seemingly disparate data points.
A genomic sequence, a location history from your phone, a purchasing habit.
And re-identify you instantly, even if that data was supposed to be protected and anonymous.
Which presents these urgent, unanswered ethical questions about data ownership and usage. Especially as quantum lets us derive far more sensitive, predictive, and potentially exploitable information from our DNA.
Imagine the predictive power, not just identifying your lifelong health risks, but maybe even subtle behavioral predispositions, vulnerabilities to specific environmental triggers. Who owns that newly amplified genetic data?
Is it you, the individual? Is it the researcher who sequenced it?
Or is it the company that developed the quantum algorithm that made the predictive leap?
And crucially, who determines how that information is used? Should your health insurance company have access to a quantum-derived risk profile of you?
Should your employer? Could this lead to new, subtle, but highly effective forms of genetic discrimination in hiring or housing?
The sources are really clear on this. Our current regulatory frameworks like GDPR, they're strong, but they were designed for classical computers.
They struggle to address the sheer scale of aggregation and re-identification risk that quantum enables. The ethical architecture around our genetic data has to evolve, and it has to evolve rapidly.
To prevent a future where our most personal health information becomes a tool for systemic exploitation rather than a tool for treatment.
We need global data governance standards that assume quantum capability exists right now, today.
This extreme power, this dual-use nature of the technology world-saving cures on one hand, total surveillance on the other, it brings us to global governance. Many experts are arguing that quantum computing needs to be regulated like a technology we've dealt with before.
The analogy is nuclear technology, and that's a bold comparison. It's one that requires justification.
It does.
Like nuclear fission, quantum tech has this profound potential for immense global good, limitless computation, breakthroughs in materials, maybe even clean energy. But it also has the potential for severe, catastrophic global harm.
Specifically through those code-breaking capabilities.
Which function effectively as digital weapons of mass destruction.
So if we accept that comparison, what parts of nuclear governance should we be applying? It's not enough to just say it's dangerous.
No, you have to establish the mechanisms of control. We need to look at the structures that stabilize the nuclear age. Things like non-proliferation treaties that control the spread of the core weaponizable quantum capabilities.
The components you'd need to build a CRQC.
Exactly. It suggests establishing international verification and inspection regimes, something like the IAEA, the International Atomic Energy Agency, but for monitoring access to and use of fault-tolerant quantum hardware.
That would imply strict export controls. Not just on the finished machines, but on the specialized cryogenic components, the algorithms themselves. Maybe even the highly specialized human expertise needed to run them.
It elevates quantum research from a purely academic or commercial pursuit to a matter of state security and international regulation.
And this need for caution brings us to the geopolitical dimension, which is already incredibly tense.
International cooperation is essential for stability in the quantum era, but the reality on the ground right now is one of fierce, nationalistic competition.
We have to face this warning head on. If a single nation and the source material highlights the intense rivalry between the US, China, and the EU, achieves undeniable quantum supremacy.
Especially that cryptographic breaking capability.
It holds the power to severely destabilize all existing global power structures.
Yeah.
all our security alliances.
That's the key. It's not just a technological advantage. It represents total informational and strategic dominance over all your competitors. The geopolitical consequences would be immediate.
It would reverberate through global finance, intelligence, diplomacy, military command and control. Everything.
The entire world order, which relies on this complex equilibrium of perceived power and secure communication, would be thrown into complete disarray if one nation held that kind of asymmetric capability.
And we're seeing evidence of this rivalry already, aren't we? This quantum race is affecting supply chains for specialized materials.
It's even affecting collaboration between academic researchers. The push for talent is becoming nationalized, which impacts the free and open exchange of scientific information that traditionally drives progress for everyone.
The scientific community starts to wall off information.
You get proprietary national quantum ecosystems instead of an open global one. It slows down overall human progress, but it's a natural defensive reaction when the stakes are this high.
And this immediate urgency, this global arms race, it clashes violently with the main governance challenge we always see.
Which is?
Governments move at the speed of bureaucracy, deliberation. It's always dramatically slower than the pace of technological development, which is driven by aggressive private industry and cutting-edge university labs.
And the risk there is existential. By the time effective, comprehensive regulations are debated, agreed upon internationally, drafted, and finally implemented.
A process that takes, what, half a decade or more?
At least. By then, quantum computing may have already fundamentally reshaped the world. The technology could make those slow-moving regulations obsolete before they even go into effect.
So the overall conclusion here, informed by all those historical failures, is absolutely clear. Reactive policymaking is not an option.
Waiting for the harvest now, decrypt later catastrophe to happen, or for a market collapse triggered by a quantum algorithm. You can't do that.
Proactive, ahead-of-the-curve thinking is the only way. The conversations we're having right now today about accessibility, ethics, data governance, international oversight, they have to happen now.
While the technology is still in its nascent stages, we have this ethical window of opportunity to build responsibility into the very foundation of the quantum ecosystem, rather than trying to bolt it on as a fragile patch years too late.
So, to summarize our deep dive today, the core message from all our sources is just undeniable, isn't it?
It is. Quantum computing is far more than a technical revolution. It's a critical, unavoidable, ethical, and societal turning point, and it demands immediate global engagement.
We've covered the major areas of impact. The critical, retrospective threat to privacy and human rights from decryption. The immediate challenge to global governance and stability if one state achieves quantum supremacy.
The dangerous potential for deepening global inequality through restricted access. And those complex life-or-death ethical choices in medicine and data governance.
And as you synthesize all these complex points, we want to turn directly to you, the listener. The weight of this future doesn't just rest on the scientists. It's on the policymakers, the investors, the informed public.
And the complexity of this whole situation leaves us with one powerful, provocative question, pulled directly from the ethical frameworks we reviewed. What kind of quantum future do we want to build?
Do we aim for a future that is fair, secure, and inclusive? One where this immense power is democratized and used to solve global challenges like climate change and disease?
Or do we, through inaction or through a short-sighted pursuit of profit and dominance, inadvertently slip into a future that exacerbates universal surveillance, deepens global inequality, and leaves our fundamental human rights unprotected against the ultimate computational power?
Our closing thought, then, is a challenge for your continued engagement. Don't let this information just sit. Stay informed on the policy debates around standardization and access models.
Ask the hard questions of public research institutions, of private companies. Ask about their ethical roadmaps. We have to actively push for high ethical standards in every single facet of quantum research and development.
Because the time to shape the ethical trajectory of this revolutionary technology isn't tomorrow after something has already gone wrong.
It is now.
Thank you for joining us on the Deep Dive. We hope this has equipped you not just with knowledge, but with the perspective you need to actively navigate and influence the quantum dawn.